Hey, how's it going, friends? So excuse my allergy eyes here, they will not stop watering. This isn't working out. So it's creating more or less of a boxy sound, and I need to break up the sound, especially coming from the speakers. But I notice it even now, even though I didn't completely cover the walls with foam, it's creating a kind of a boxed in sound. So it's like the reverse of the echoey sound. Yeah, you can hear it in the mic. It already bothers me. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna build a diffuser made of different thicknesses of wood. You can buy these. I'll flip up a photo of one on the screen. They're super duper expensive, and if you're handy with tools and you have everything and scraps of wood laying around, you can pretty much build one. What I'm building is long strips varying from 3.5 feet down to 3 foot 4 inches, just a few inches difference. I'm gonna make sort of another like kind of zigzag pattern. And also a side effect to the color, since I intentionally picked the lightest gray I could possibly pick before going white, and I didn't want white, I wanted gray on gray. What I did was darkened it in this weird shape behind my head, where probably most of my videos will be shot with that background, and I'm sure you can see it right now. Since I have dark hair and I'm not a blonde, if I was a blonde it wouldn't even be an issue. It creates this weird connection to my hair where it looks like, it just looks weird. So I could put a light from the top, I could backlight a little bit, but I've noticed even with like putting the gels for the teal lights and the tungsten lights, it still is so dark that it just connects the foam, this acoustical foam, to my head, and it just looks weird. The thing I'm making is just strips, and it's going to be the same color as the wall, so you can see where I'm going with this. And then I also just realized that I haven't gotten them yet, but if I use the LED strip lights behind it, I can get it to glow. So hopefully I can figure that out, and I'll have like a backlighting and diffusion at the same time. And what the diffusion's gonna do is make it a little less, the sound goes in and bounces at a random directions instead of hitting the wall and right back, equal and opposite how sound works. So instead of doing that, it hits a weird surface and kind of reflects somewhere else and breaks up the sound a little bit better. I could do a whole series of tutorials just on breaking down reflections and stuff. I should have actually known better than to put foam on the back wall. I guess I've already built so much that I didn't feel like building a diffuser, and I thought it would be okay. I really did. I thought it would be okay. But it's just creating this sound where this is a pretty long room, and now it sounds like a cube. And that's pretty much my fault. So here we go. So what we're looking at here is I've already cut and painted the pieces. It's so much nicer to paint the pieces first for something like this than to try and get all the nooks and crannies afterwards. So what we have here is these are the long frame pieces. They're 6 foot long, and they'll be cut down when I get to the end, probably to about 5.5 feet. And then these are different thicknesses of wood cut at totally random angles on the table saw. And then we got our really ultra thin pieces, and then we have inch thick pieces that are I don't know if you can see this, but they're rough milled lumber, and these are also cut at different widths and angles, so it's totally random. After the first piece is squared up, the next piece will be spaced by this, which is 1 inch thick. That's going to be my spaces between pieces here. And yes, I'm aware that it is level, but it just happens to be the right thickness for me to perfectly space these apart. So the next shot, you'll see it all nailed together, and hopefully it looks as cool as I think it's going to look. So it's almost finished, but I wanted to show you something in case you end up doing one of these, in case you do it exactly like this. To save yourself a little insanity here, put a temporary piece at the end, just nail it or whatever, and then that'll keep everything square while you go along here. Otherwise you have to measure vertically every single time to make sure it's the right height. And this is these are 3 feet apart from top to bottom, and then this whole piece is 6 foot long, and I made it extra long, so when I get to this last piece here, this is the last piece, I mark it, don't nail it down, but I mark it, and then I take it off and cut it, so it's a much cleaner cut, and I don't risk cutting into this piece. Here it is drying from the extra darker gray that I put on it. I wanted to wait till it was done, so I could just do it all at once instead of a piece at a time. And since it's hard in video to see the thickness of these pieces, it kind of just looks all the same top down like this. I'll show you the edges. So we got like 1.5 inches, 1 inch, 1/4 inch, and that's pretty much it, but then all the angles are cut differently. I randomly moved the saw so it would not be the same every time. So now I have the foam down, and I peeled off the little sticky double-sided tape that didn't come with it, and it was pretty painless. It didn't take any of the paint off, so that's great, no touch-ups. And then I put 3 little post-it notes to center it, and I got my 2 screws in the concrete, or in the block, I mean. So I'm gonna put it up. So this is what I was going for. Disregard the lighting, I just did it to pretty it up a little bit. I'm hoping to put some lighting behind these strips of wood and light it up. I think that'll look cool, making it glow like that. So that's it, and now there's no black square connected to my head, and I'm much happier now. And it opened the room up just enough where I don't think it sounds boxy anymore. Hopefully that's the problem solved. The real test though is when I'm sitting at my desk, it bounces off the monitor and off the desk, and you know, sound moves everywhere, bouncing everywhere. And I actually started for doing it at my desk, I actually started putting a 2 foot by 2 foot one of these acoustical panels on the desk, and then putting the keyboard on top of that, because it actually helps a lot with the reflections. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Please subscribe and tell your friends. And remember, create, share, repeat, and keep it awesome. I'll see you next time.